welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate. It's going to be number 22. Forgive the terrible audio quality. I'm on vacation. You can see like behind me. Hopefully the audio is not picking up too bad. Out here in Hilton Head Island for a little bit. I'm not going to do this regular scheduled time at 6 p.m. I want to do more live streams this week too, but the audio quality being so bad on these headphones for some reason, I might just stick to doing spaces and go on X for the future for this week because I have so much extra free time to be able to stream and do that. But I don't want the audio quality to be chopped and as fried as it is. So I apologize for that. And if there's any issues also on my end, put it in the chat. I'll have the chat pop up too. Make sure I can add a YouTube chat here. Do this real quick, actually. Let me copy this. So I can put on the new cam as well. Let me paste the reference here. Okay, cool. That way the chat's up here on this camera as well. So for apologies, I wasn't able to bring most of the studio equipment out. I was only able to bring some of it. Luckily, I did have the tripod for the camera as well. Focus looks cool because I have so much depth behind me now as compared to normal. I will try to make sure that my audio input stays pretty high. It looks like I'm barely scraping the bottom of yellow. So if it's too much or too piss poor, let me know. If I got a text from my wife telling me it's terrible. So to get in today, I'll probably keep this a bit short too, because of the poor quality. And so especially too, because one of my best traits is my voice, and if you can't really hear me that well, then it kind of defeats the purpose of almost everything. So a few things for today. One of the big things I wanted to talk about was more disdain for Tim Pool and what he's been doing with his platform. People talking like all of this like mobs attack on him is like unwarranted from multiple people, and like to say it's unwarranted, I think is a little ridiculous. I think it's entirely warranted. I think the majority issue that people have with understanding is that I don't think it's a mob of outside people who are coming in to hate watch, as Elijah Schaefer put it. And I'll show you that tweet in a little bit. But I'm positive that this is really more so of this audience turning against him, especially because you got to understand, like, my show and the majority of people I've had on, I guess not the majority of people I've had on, but my co-host Donnie as well, and the network and community that I kind of grew up out of and into with the, the YouTube following that I do have. Came a lot of people who were, disaffected Timcast viewers, essentially. People who were growing tired of the fence sitting, people who are growing tired of like smaller issues and instances such as like the Eliza Blue situation. And I do see people are in here. So if there's any issues on my end or something's going bad you can't hear, please let me know. I'll put it in the chat so I can see it. But I think it's his audience turning against him. I think it's just been a slow roll of people who listen to him because he does have a good platform. He brings on a lot of good guests, but people are wanting to hear, Tim Pool. And a lot of his journey here in the last, 2 to 3 years, maybe a little bit longer than that, is somebody who went from being, who said he wouldn't vote for Trump to somebody who said he would vote for Trump on like a kind of like, I can't be dishonest kind of way. And then full on being like, okay, I'm voting for Trump. How could you not? To having situations like the Eliza Blue instance, to now the Israel derangement syndrome, in which he says, or at least accuses everybody who comes on his show as, which is, kind of insane. And it was very, very well shown in the his recent interview that he had with Elijah Schaefer. So to move it on, this is the point where I think people are having issues with, and I called it the Tim Pool Humiliation Tour. Now, he took this video down. It was the episode he did with Chadwick. Forgive me, I can't remember his last name off the top of my head. So he did this interview with Chadwick, and it was something that Ian said that went too far. Now, I could understand the path that they were going on as they were talking, that Ian might say something that would, be against the YouTube rules. But apparently, Claire also said something that was, outside the lines of, I guess, what they should do for the show. And apparently, he didn't get the kill switch off fast enough that he talks about so that they can dump, the live streams to avoid these kinds of things. But I guess that didn't work. He pulled the show down. I saw it on Twitter. I saw, Chief Trumpster and a few other people talking about the video being pulled almost immediately. And we'll stop right here because this is one of the things that he has huge issues with, right? Or people have issues with, which is that he's constantly paying lip service to the ideals of taking sacrifice and doing things that are, you must do these things and have the ideals in which you will plant a tree in which you'll never sit beneath the shade of. And then whenever he's given an opportunity to allow someone, free speech or go against the rules or plug a show on Rumble, he's not doing it. He's still sitting here obeying the YouTube oligarch rules. Look for evidence. I want you guys to listen to this. So it's about the 23-minute mark. You can't find the video anywhere. I'm going to give you some proof here. Let's switch over the cameras. And I'm working with way less screens, so you're going to see a bit more of this, unfortunately. But right here. So even on his own website, you can't. RFK Jr. says, where I made his brain, it was this episode, but it's unavailable even on his own website. So just so you can see that. But I did find it here just on the player for the FM player. And I already have it paused around the minute mark, and you're going to hear the change of tone. So I'll go ahead and play this over. Hopefully the audio quality will be okay for you guys as well.
It is rallies. You shouldn't be forced to take it. And he mentioned, I got this medicine. Like, if you don't like what Big Pharma does, say, I don't like what Big Pharma does, that's great. If you say, I don't like these big pharmaceutical corporations, they overcharge for their medicines, and Trump funding them just empowers them in bad ways, there we go. Agreed. Howdy, everybody. Well, I'll just tell. We'll be as transparent as possible. There's a lot of stuff going on. Some things I can't talk about for legal reasons. Many of you know that we're being sued. I can't talk about it. I'm not legally allowed to. During the show obviously can't be on YouTube because Ian said people have died from the vaccine, and Hannah Claire followed up with the vaccine isn't safe.
Yeah,
show's off the air.
Very clearly, specifically, am not saying.
So he goes right away, as soon as they pull the show back, what's he doing? Immediately, dude, throwing his 2 employees under the bus. Like, it wasn't me, guys. I'm not the reason I had to pull my show down. It's these idiot employees I have.
Vaccines kill people. Vaccines are bad. But in this instance, I was saying these COVID vaccines have, I'd have to review the tape, killed people, but they've caused side effects in people that have killed them. And Tim's like, where's the fucking proof? Show me the fucking proof. You can't say that shit on YouTube. That's my bad. That I thought I was being specific enough, but it's such a fucking thin.
So just hear him at, I'm assuming there's a portion that we did not hear, the audience did not hear, of Tim probably being even more mad than what you can hear from him right now, where he probably got super pissed off at Ian for Ian speaking, as if he had like freedom of speech or something in this country, which it's just an idea. It's not really like a thing I don't think that we have anymore, but it's like, Ian, silly Ian, he thought like he can just say words out loud in this free country without things being taken from you and your channel's being banned. But again, alas. But really, the reaction that Tim's having during this is what's like the disturbing aspect, where it's like I can understand it being mad that like they got to pull the show down, but to be angry at your own employees is like, why are you mad at them? Like, they're like, be mad at the people who put these rules in place. Be mad at like the people you're licking the boot of so your show can stay on there, because you want the greater revenue that YouTube offers, because you've already said out loud you can't move your show to Rumble, you can't move your show to I can't remember what other platform I mentioned. He can't make enough money. So there's been deals on the table and it's not good enough. But let it continue because his rank's gonna go on a bit more.
Hole to try and fit this thing through. So
yeah, and I meant to just say that because the research felt like it was rushed, people feel as though the vaccine might not be safe. I didn't mean that the vaccines themselves are not safe. I'm not commenting on that. I'm commenting on the rate of research. So
he made sure that both of them apologized to the audience. That way the audience knew that they felt sorry for disobeying the YouTube rules.
Sorry.
We have a chat here from Rach. Says, I'm totally okay when Tim has to pull the stream. What I don't like is that none of you guys at Timcast tell us anything anywhere else. Well, we do the uncensored show as fast as we can, and then talk about it. There's 2 big problems. One, guys, I'll be completely honest. If the show got banned right now, it'd be a huge weight off my shoulders. I don't make money from the show. It's really stressful. I work 16-hour days. I could work 8-hour days and then skate the rest of the day and still be rich. And this is
so if it's not profitable, you can't exercise complete freedom of speech. All it does is cause you to stress out and be unable to fulfill your life in other avenues that may actually help proliferate the ideas of free speech. Then what are you doing, bro? To me, it's like the writing is clearly on the wall, dude. If now you've had, in the last couple of years, an exuberant amount of instances, we're about only a month or 2 away from like him having 2 of his biggest episodes being removed retroactively. Like, why are you still sitting here like on your hands and knees, like just like wanting to lick the underside of YouTube to ensure that you can maintain the higher quality revenue that you get on these streams. Like, to me, it's just like, it's clear as night. Like, the dude clearly cares more about money than he does the ideals. Because he'll sit there and say all the time to people on the shows, like, but my kids, and then he'll make fun of them and be like, see, you got to take real risks. You got to be willing to go live down by the river, da da da. And then this guy has like a smaller amount of risk, which is just like, just move your show elsewhere and take the money hit. He refuses to do. It's not even like there's risk there. It's like plenty of streamers have already done it. There's a pathway for all these other streamers who have operated outside of the censorship realm. And to then have the recent hero's journey of Nick Fuentes, who goes from being censored, still building a following, still maintaining to have a message push to some degree, to then now he's here on the other side, coming back to X. Like, to me, it's like there's someone who pays lip service to the ideals they espouse, and there's someone who practices the ideals they espouse. And to me, I find this recent mob anger with Tim Pool is because it's slowly his audience is turning on him. I think it's very well warranted. But let me go to one of these tweets here, because that just essentially continues. It's a lot of like petty, just like him going on and talking about how he could quit at any point, and he's a millionaire. He doesn't need any of these employees. He doesn't need IRL. He just needs his daily show. He can do that, and he'll skate the rest of the time. And he'll just say F everybody else. Like, you do that then, bro. No one owes it to you. And at this point, you're getting so much of your audience turning against you because you are being an insufferable petty man-child all the time, that it's like, dude, you're making it to the point where people can't even like find you relatable because you're doing so many things that are just like people find disdain in. And then for people to frame it as like, why are everybody mad at Tim? And it's like, bro, like we're a population of people who are constantly getting provoked, our rights taken away from us, getting slapped in the face, spit on. And then you guys sit in your ivory towers and then you wonder why people get pissed off. And it's like, dude, are you trying to make me more angry? Like, why do people act stupid with this stuff? I don't understand it. And so let me go to these tweets here, because I actually have them saved up. Because I even put this audience turning, Tim Pool humiliation to it, right? I had it marked here. And this is exactly what I said, because I wanted to quote one of Elijah Schaefer's tweets, and I'll read through it here. I want to make sure the OBS is still running okay. And I apologize too if the stream quality drops, because I'm not on Ethernet. I'm only on Wi-Fi, so hopefully nothing really messes it up too bad. Let me get this out of here. So even Elijah Schaefer had a post on this, okay? And he says, unpopular opinion. I don't understand the mob-like hatred against Tim Cass and his associates, even from his chat. Now notice that. He said it, even from his chat. And Tim's somebody who constantly reads super chats of all the time of people who can't stand him. And again, circumstantial, but I think of somebody who can even notice who doesn't pay that much attention to Tim Pool, or at least goes on a show. It doesn't, he's not a Tim Pool follower. He does his own thing. It's not like he's constantly watching things. And even on the podcast episode with Tim Pool, Elijah mentions multiple times, he's like, oh, hold on, I haven't seen that. I've been flying the last couple of days. Like, catch me up. Let me tell you what that is. I think circumstantial evidence right there that people are noticing that his own chat's giving it to him, which I would argue, in my theory, would be that it's because his audience is turning against him. If you go to his YouTube, you can see his views have been dying off a little bit recently. Normally, he would be hitting around the 300K range. I think he's around the 250 to low 225 range, 1,000 views. And then the Elijah Schaefer one is like somewhere in between there, and it's around like 400,000. At least last I checked, I could be wrong. So fact check me if I am wrong. Or correct me if I am. He says, first, if you don't like the show, don't watch. It's voluntary. Again, it's like, you can't, I don't think you telling somebody to hate watch a show, it's very effective. Like, these people find, if they hate you really good, like they clearly have some kind of level of passion or drive to make sure that they know everything about this person, so they continue to smear them, whether it's in good faith or bad faith, either way. I just think saying that means almost nothing. But he says, second, they platform tons of people they disagree with, more than any other center-left, center-right show, which, true, I do think that's the good thing about his platform. He says, I respect the hell out of that. He's probably under a lot of pressure from YouTube for that one reason. I'll make this video too. Actually, make it back to the center. Millions of dollars on the line. Third, when I went on recently, they didn't tell me any topics were off the table, and Tim let me speak my mind clearly. He rebutted my points fairly, and even after we had a public disagreement on a contentious issue, he said I was welcome to come back on anytime. Took some funny pics with me to troll his haters, and never spoke shit about me afterwards. His co-hosts have come on my show and we speak about anything and everything, so clearly he doesn't restrict the First Amendment. No, He doesn't, but he'll just flog them if they don't capitulate to his show or his rules, I should say, for the YouTube stuff. I get that people disagree with Tim or don't like his style of covering topics. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, as many people hate me for similar reasons. Tim and I disagree on some key topics as well, but that doesn't stop me from being friends with Tim or enjoying when our platforms cross. I get that he doesn't get it right all the time, nor do I, yada, yada, yada. And I just like, okay, like I'm not going to kiss up to Tim. I'm not. He goes on and says, I don't even want to imagine the pressure he's under and how frustrating it must be doing the most you can while only getting hate for it. Yet everyone continues to watch. Yeah, because we're in a all or nothing point right now with a lot of people, and the pussyfooting around very, very strong issues that affect a lot of things that happen in us. I think people are becoming a lot less willing to take, especially when people constantly sit in their ivory towers and talk about how they're millionaires. Falls on deaf ears. It's like get with the program or get out, dude. People are tired of this stuff. It's not a matter of like, well, like people are literally like on edge, dude. Like, people's like stress levels, anxiety levels, like anger, like the animosity on this world. It is just like, I can't imagine people constantly being in these positions. And Clint Russell had a similar take where it's like, calm down, guys. We have it under control. It's like, dude, I just don't get how people can't see that they talk down in these certain manners. It's like, again, there's, to be fair, there's anger and outrage that's not artificial, but not well warranted in certain times. But I think for people who are in a dialogue as intense as this, and for people who would probably even really be watching Timcast, you're already a certain type of person. You're already of a very political archetype. And these people generally like have a decent idea of what's going on. Now, they might be people who are sitting here going, it's okay for someone to chop the balls off. And like, I'll disagree with that, but it's at least they're in the political sphere. They understand they're in the atmosphere. And sometimes the way these people talk is it's like, they're talking as if like the first episode they ever watched was that one. And then they just got mad. It's like, you don't have to explain the internet to half of these people, dude. I think people are just getting aggressively tired of the beating around the bush, the pussyfooting. It's like, bro, just say it. You're a millionaire, dog. Just say it, dude. People are losing their jobs and sacrificing over way less than that. It's just like, to me, it falls on deaf ears, dude. Like the founding fathers were way younger and made much, much heavier sacrifices than somebody having to literally just make less money on the rumble. I do not care, dude. It is the most, and forgive me for being vulgar, but I cannot stand. It's just like, it is so soft. It is so weak. It is the coward stuff. But he goes on to say, having open dialogue in 2024 is nearly impossible. But other than PBD and a few other political shows, there are few formats that are trying to keep the spirit of political discourse alive in the same way. He says, hate Tim all you want. That's your right. I'm not defending everything he says or does either, but it's really like Tim, his crew. Even if you disagree, you're entitled to that, yada, yada, yada. And you are entitled to that. So it's fair. I mean, I'm not sure why you need to put out a puff piece for it, but maybe just to grab some engagement, because that's what people do. But I said I think it's very simple. His audience turned on. And there was a similar interaction. I had an interaction with Clint Russell who actually responded to me on the same issue. And this is the tweet that I saw. So let me make sure. I want to just be sure that my camera's not blocking it, which I don't think it is. Okay. So Clint Russell goes on to say that he's a big supporter of Patrick Bet-David and Timcast. And again, people keep comparing the two, but I don't think they're that comparable. Again, I'm not somebody who watches that much of Patrick Bet-David, but I think the PBD is like, in the valuetainment is like a more corporate kind of version of what Timcast is. I think on Tim's show, there's a bit more of truth telling that happens, or at least that has the capacity to happen. And because they say the push of limits on YouTube, and what's the thing? Like, you can't really push any limits of what you can do on YouTube, because if the YouTube rules change at the drop of a hat, I mean, wow, he's pushing limits on YouTube. They just pulled two of his biggest shows. What? How is that pushing the limit? Right? Like, oh my gosh, like if Tim keeps this up, YouTube will just back down and allow it. Like, are we really living in this world? Like, you think Tim Pool and Patrick Bet-David are going to be the ones that force YouTube on its knees and are like, fine, we'll allow the Wild West of free speech back? I'm sorry, but I'm simply just not retarded. These things don't happen because simple creators like that, who have a couple million followers, are knocking at the door a couple of times and causing, a bit of outrage. It's not enough. It's not nearly enough to culturally shift something like that hard on YouTube. YouTube would outright just get rid of Tim Pool before they did, they do that. They've gotten rid of plenty of creators that their audiences make up well more the amalgamation of, way more than what the base of Tim Pool's show is. YouTube will survive. But Clint Russell goes, we need large platforms that reach the masses. They do that. I will agree with this. I think that you do need some kind of level, some hybrid show, which is what Tim Pool's show is. I agree. I think the existence of it should be allowed. I'm just saying my main disagreement is with the way that he carries himself. I think he was a bit more outspoken and less of a insufferable prick who acts as if he's the only one on this planet making sacrifices when he barely does. It's just a disingenuous stuff, and I think it gets under people's skin. The platform is needed, especially because if you exist in just the corporatocracy where all you have is MSNBC and CNN and Fox News, well, that's all corporate opinion. It's all very heavily financially backed by a lot of different groups. It's state media essentially. So if you don't have a step away from state media, or at least media that's not funded or attached by or to any group with any kind of agenda or bias or preventive from being objective, and now it's impossible to be objective a lot of the times, especially with reporting, because people interject personal biases. You do need a stepping block. You need something that somebody from who's like, what did they say on Fox? I don't agree with that. And then they hear somebody else and they're like, I might listen to this guy instead a bit more, because I think I agree with his positions. You kind of need that gateway to get to where you are going to actually find your community, if I should put it like that, right? Or the radicalization, as a lot of other people would put it. Oh, you listen to these guys? Like, wow, what radicalized you? It's like Fox News lying to me 40 times a day. Like, what else would? But Clint goes on to say, I hope they keep going, and I hope more and more media empires rise to challenge them. Good. I'm glad he said that. That's essentially what I think a lot of people are doing, especially people like Anomaly and other content creators like myself. And I hope more and more media empires rise to challenge them. And I think Nick points out he's already done that. If you hate what they put out, then I'd rather see you creating the next empire instead of trying to Trojan horse theirs. Now, I don't know who's trying to Trojan horse what. I don't really get it, to be honest. Who's going on the show and nuking the platform? I don't get it. Is he blaming Chadwick of that, the guy who wasn't even talking on the show when Tim pulled it? I don't understand what that portion means. Again, it's just it's seemingly like all these guys who want to ensure that they can continue and come back to Tim Pool, they're going to put their puff piece out now. So it's like, remember when you were getting hated on by that mob? I put out that tweet one time, man. I had your back, B. And that's kind of how I feel from it. They're all kind of just touching each other on their undersides to make them feel good. Because again, I guess that's what you have to do when you make it to this level. You got to make all your connections. Make sure your hands are constantly clean to keep shaking them. But I responded, and I said, maybe I'm misunderstanding the situation, but last I had heard, he dragged you and Luke. Now, on the portion that we listened to on the FM, he does drag Luke and Clint. He essentially says that he thinks that they feign their positions, is exactly what I said. Specifically, that you feign your positions to appease libertarians and to drive clicks on two different issues, Trump and jazz. Now, you can see I got quite a bit of likes because people see it as well. Clint says, yeah, I didn't appreciate that at all. My opinions on Trump are sincere and have nothing to do with being contrarian or maintaining libertarian bona fides. Doesn't change the fact I want Kim to keep doing IRL. And so I said, I'm sure you didn't, LOL. Tim should keep doing IRL. But I can't get behind somebody who runs humiliation tours on his own employees because they didn't obey YouTube rules. I understand your argument. I simply disagree. Because I do. I think for somebody like me, I find Nick Fuentes to be a much more closer to where my views are at. So yes, I'm going to root for this person's success over somebody else's. It's a competition. It is. That's how the world works. I want this man's ideas and community to be more outspoken and more prominent than what Tim Katz is. I want people to speak freely. I want people to be open. I want hate speech to be non-existent. I want the ideals of the original Wild West of free speech. People could just speak, and the only thing you had to fear was the consequences of what your actions and words may have done to you, not the fear of criminal punishment by your state for saying these things or thinking the wrong opinions or not being entirely correct in your opinion. That's what I want. I don't want a world that pretends that any portion of the social fabric of how our free speech operates in this country is even close to being okay. I don't want somebody who is going to just like puff themselves up by saying, but don't you want a ninja who's allowed to be on YouTube? And like, yeah, like that's cool, bro. But like you're reaching a point now where you're like, PPD can be that, bro. Like move your channel elsewhere, dude. Give us your real opinions. Stop giving us this sad hogwash, professionalized kleptocracy because you have gotten too addicted to the money over the principles. At least that's how I see it. Now, I could be wrong, could be entirely wrong, but that's exactly how I see it, and I think a lot of people do too. Hence, you see all these media pundits coming out and saying, like, wow, why is Tim Pool being attacked? Man, all these guys coming out, why are they attacking Tim Pool, man? That's crazy. What has Tim Pool been doing to get attacked? And again, like, it bothers me that people just pretend like everyone's fucking retarded. And again, forgive me, I apologize for cussing. But it bothers me so badly. It's like just because they have a following, they must assume that anyone who doesn't have a following is autistic or just too stupid to read, illiterate. I don't really get it. But Anomaly was right here, and he went a bit further than I did. And he kind of went at Clint Russell, which I didn't think Clint Russell was trying to do a purposeful misframing. But again, so Anomaly says, not liking Chris Cuomo, and again, if you're not aware, Chris Cuomo was recently hired by Patrick Bet-David to be a regular co-host on the show. I'm not sure if it's like a every single day co-host kind of deal or if he's on for different sections and so on and so forth. But regardless, people didn't enjoy the fact that somebody who pushed hard for the vaccine and the vaccine mandates was now being accepted and being paid by somebody who was ardently against them, I guess, or is somebody who's in the Patrick Bet-David's more in the realm of like freedom, right? Right wing. But Anomaly says not liking Chris Cuomo isn't rooting for them to fail. And Tim Pool being a disingenuous person isn't rooting for him to fail. Patrick Bet-David chose to hire one of the most disgraceful people in left-wing journalism. Fair. This is just a misframe of the situation and a suck-up attempt. I will agree with the suck-up attempt. I do think that's what this is. And he doesn't even disagree with that. This is what Clint Russell says. It isn't a misframe. It is you taking something personally when it isn't. So again, I'm reading what Anomaly says. It's like, I'm not sure what he took personally. Because again, if you go back up here, what did Clint say? We need large platforms to do that. Right. So he's not disagreeing with one of these points here. But he's making the point that it's not mob hatred, right? So Anomaly is disagreeing with Clint's point that it's just mob attacking him. And I think that Anomaly that actually is correct here, because I do believe it's a misframe. So point 2, Anomaly. It is a misframe. It's something you took personally when it isn't. What I said was sincere, and I don't need to suck up, as I'm already a regular. Like, come on, dude. I'm speaking to those that want them to fail. I never assumed that was you. I agree that Cuomo is a demon. But again, you see how he's doing it? It's like Anomaly, like you think Anomaly's not speaking for other people as well when he says this stuff? Like, there's plenty of people who are speaking up against this. But for then Clint to frame it as if Anomaly's personally, like, this is the kind of stuff, man, where it's like everybody kind of plays dumb, dude. Anomaly knew exactly what was going on. This tweet came out rightly after he was smeared and drugged, and out comes the puff beats. I think it's kind of disingenuous to think that people wouldn't read that as like, oh wow, Clint's trying to get out ahead of before people are coming at him with a 60-second audio clip of getting drugged by Tim Pool. So to move on from there, though, a few of the things. Let's see. One of the things I did want to point out that I thought was kind of crazy was Tim Pool only has not Tim Pool. Nick only has like 73,000 followers on Rumble. I was curious if he has like a primary platform that's not Rumble. I know he's always on Cozy TV. I'm not familiar with that platform literally whatsoever. I know nothing about it. So it made me kind of curious, like maybe he has a primary elsewhere, because I thought like 73,000 followers is like really low for him having like nonstop ratios on X and things like that. Like I would assume his following is much, much bigger. And to be fair, on X it is around like 300,000, but I think that's more of a because it's in the mainstream. And then also too, a lot of people don't like using Rumble, myself included, so that could play a role in it. And I imagine it does. One of the crazy things that happened yet. So Dave Rubin has a crazy take, man. Actually kind of ridiculous. Let me pull this up. And this is the tweet in the quartering, but he says Hamas wouldn't even rape these cows, and it's a picture of a bunch of fat women who are wearing, fatties for Free Palestine. and they're kind of owning it, but like again, that's really sad. Like you shouldn't own it. There's nothing positive about being fat or obese. You shouldn't own it whatsoever. You should be rather frankly be ashamed that you've allowed yourself to get like this, especially when you do live in the first world and are allowed so many opportunities to not put garbage like that in your face. Um, but with that aside, I'm not even caring. I'm mad. I really don't even care. I think it's I think his point stands. Now, sure, you can be like, wow, like that's rude, dude. That's mean. But are we seriously drawing the line at like you can't make rape jokes about women, but like you can joke about dudes dying? It's like, come on, it's just like again, it's like everyone's always concerned about their sensitivities. All the sensitivities they lean towards women, they lean leftward. It's inherent to this nature. And it's like, really, dude, we can make jokes about suicide bombers and people will be like slapping the damn knee and be like, yuck, yuck, yuck. But the moment we draw the line, it's about fat women being unrapeable. It's too far of a joke. If we seriously don't walk back how faggoty our society is becoming, it's just like it's gonna be there's gonna be a visceral amount of violence that happens if it does come to civil war in this country in America. Because people are just gonna live like they're gonna just be ripped from whatever fantasy world they're living in, where people just live in this way where they live in the cupcake strawberry cheesecake house. And you can see the quartering, if you can see it on him, it's rolled up to make sure you can read this. But it says he says Dave Rubin, gay man and purchaser of infant boys, which I do disagree. I don't, and don't get me wrong, I don't like Dave Rubin whatsoever. But again, I'm just making the point: a broken clock can still be right 2 times a day. His infant boys has weighed in on the bettability of women and making rape jokes. Like, wow, it's like, why don't you fucking attack him for the fact that he's purchasing little boys? Who cares about a joke? Right? It's like really like what's going to rally people around getting Dave Rubin canceled is the fact that he made this joke, not that he's a gay man buying babies, financially purchasing children for like what was it, like $3,000. This it's similar to the point that Matt Walsh had made, which is like people are really they have more outrage over Chrissy Noem's dog being shot than they do the fact that like a million kids a year are aborted. It's like people are so not real. Like we live in this delusional, artificial society where the values have been inverted, they've been flipped on their head. And I just don't get it. I don't understand. I quite honestly cannot make sense of why people became so faggoty. And it's even people who are like on the right, like the center right, like people who are like the quartering. Now the quartering may honestly be a bit more center left than honestly, because I feel like the honestly falls a little bit more left than maybe Tim Pool is. But we have to move away from from trying to cancel people over jokes. You have to, dude. You have to. I mean, dude, you can sit there and be like, man, dude, that was actually like that was a pretty bad joke. Like I think it was a bad joke. It wasn't funny. But that was kind of funny. And I think he's right. I think if anything, the Hamas would be getting raped if those women were trying to do something. But the fact is you shouldn't be clutching your pearls when I say that, bro. It's just words. It's a joke. It's reality. They're fat women. But again, there's a point's not to be like, wow, we should just dump on these women because they're fat. Like that's not the point. The point is why are you so much more offended and putting stock in the opinion of what somebody said than the actual actions of 8 cows? I don't understand. I can't connect the dots. I don't it's just like it's to me it's very simple. It's like here's a priority list. And it's like, well, wouldn't you say like it's more important that these women like cut weight than it is we care about their feelings? Like, well, duh, that makes sense. That's like the pragmatic approach. But again, I think it's more true that feelings don't care about facts, hence why we live in a world that's not pragmatic whatsoever. People always speak ideologically, like very, very not pragmatically. They want to speak like in theory, not like what's going to actually physically work, like hands-on approach. And so we get takes like this. And I'm not somebody who agrees with the quartering often, but I think he's got his head on straight a bit more than most. And so when I see stuff like this, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, just make it stop. Like make people being bitches stop. But to continue in the same light with the sensitivities, we have Cassandra McDonald making the point that Dave Rubin's actually worse than Ben Shapiro. But oh yeah, and this is the other point I wanted to make. Stereotypical gay guy who hates women. That's kind of the vibe I get from this, and I even told my wife about this theory the other day. I guess it's not a theory, but people talk about it all the time. It's like there's an archetype of gay man who's like, what do they call it? A gay cell, where essentially it's like he's gay because he was struggled so badly, whether it was from looks or just social awkwardness with women, that hence it's that social retardation then turns into being gay, which is again a sexual retardation. It's not right. It's not natural. And And so what it is sort of gay because it's the only thing that allows them sexual access, whether it's abomination or not, abominable or not. It's I guess something for them, and in turn, it drives their hatred up even further towards women because it's something they don't want to be doing, but it's their only way to get their rocks off. Now, I'm not saying that theory's real. I'm just saying like, if anything, Dave Rubin's fitting that stereotype right now. Not buying a girl, he bought an infant boy to raise, and then making like rape jokes about women, especially when he's gay. So, especially because it's weird. Because like, why would a gay man feel like some type of way to come out and attack a woman for how she's like, right? Like most of the time, it's because a guy is attracted to that sex, but he notices that he's not attracted to that specific person of that sex. Hence, that's why the joke it would be more scathing for someone to be like, I'm not attracted to you. If a gay guy tells a woman, he's like, I'm not attracted to you, like, the woman's gonna feel bad. She's like, oh, you're gay. I'm like, that doesn't hurt me. I don't get it. But in the same level, right, in the same light, this is the tweet from Ashley St. Clair, which I quoted it, but we'll go to my quote afterwards. And again, just kind of, ridiculous kind of stuff here. But I hope I'm not blocking. I don't think I'm blocking it. To be honest, maybe actually make myself a bit smaller, just to be sure I'm not blocking anything. Because I don't have my second screen, so it's like impossible for me to tell what's actually being shown at all times. So, but as you're saying, Claire, I tried getting my mom to use X more. Feeds for new users are incredibly graphic, controversial, and off-putting. Okay. You realize what killed Facebook was the fact that they put all of the parents on there and it became a event center. And now it's no longer really a social media platform. People use social media platforms for everything else. Why would you want to make X anything like Facebook, for one? That's just in this first paragraph. Okay. That's just the first line, right? I tried getting my mom to use X more. Okay. Well, I'm going to start right here. Just in this sentence alone. X right now is the leading free speech platform of them all. No. And the people might say Rumble and Gab and all those other things. We're talking about the mass influence it has compared to the other platforms. I'm not saying the other ones aren't. I'm just saying I think X is the biggest as far. And prove me wrong if you can't. Women already don't belong in political discourse. Why is a supposed right winger trying to frame that X's performance needs to be increased in light of what will get her mom to use the platform more? Is that the direction we need to remove the needle on free speech? Is what gets grandma on X more? Really? Like no. Again, this is like the soft stick censorship coming in, right? This is the Ashley St. Clair is a Jew. She owns it. She says it. We're just going to be honest about this, okay? This is someone who's extremely secular. They used to go by the at sex laptop. This is somebody who constantly tweeted about wanting to be, I can't even find an appropriate way to say this. So warning to anybody who might have kids around. She wanted to get dicked down by a big black man named Tyrone. There's multiple tweets out there. You can find it. Again, how this person ends up being an influencer for the right-wing conservatives is beyond me, but here we are. And again, my argument to you would be, this is not a right-winger. This is a feminist who just simply can't stand trans people, so she's moved to the right. That's it. That's all it is, man. And she even goes on to a point where she's like, she wishes she could bring back 2012. Brother wanted no free speech in 2012. Country was dead in 2012. But you want to go back to that? Dude, it tells me all I need to know about your values. Anyway, continue. Feeds for new users are incredibly graphic, controversial, and off-putting. The truth often is, if anything, the only one I can agree with what this would be the graphic portion. And I think if anything, maybe add just an auto processor for anything if it gets uploaded to ensure that decapitated heads aren't being censored, but at least it has a gray cover warning. So it tells you beforehand what you're going to see, so you open up a video and it's not the first thing you see. That is the only thing I will agree with is the graphic content. Because sometimes it is very, very off-putting for myself as well. But she's saying controversial. What? So what? So you want X to be an app where I open it up and a fucking flower hits me in the mouth? Oh, here's a nice sunflower to look pretty, man. Like, that's not what people use X for. People use X for news. People use X to ratio people. People use X to go at Ben Shapiro for his stupid Israel stance for the 10th time. People use X to go at Babylon B for when they constantly attack Christians and take Judaic stances. People go on X to hash out, the different views between the theologies, between Christian nationalism, between all of these different avenues. What? And again, this is how. Let me go to the second paragraph. Lots of women also deterred by lack of sensitivity settings for their own comments. Women don't want a gladiator free speech arena under their coats. Just how it is. Thank you, Ashley. I agree with you. Now stop and get off this platform because it's not for you and you don't belong in the political discourse arena. If you want flowers, get on Facebook. If you want soft and sensitivity, go on Threads. If you want soft and sensitivity, go to the YouTube comments. If you want soft, go anywhere else. Dude, every other platform is built for this. Instagram of all places, dude. TikTok of all places is built for the sensitivities. You have every other platform on earth, and you want to take the one that's on X that's finally opening up the Wild West of freedom of speech. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm not even saying it don't censor, but it's the best thing that we got right now. And you want to sit here and curb and cuck the entire thing, the whole platform, for the sensitivities of some women who have no followings, who probably only ever use it to post pictures of their face and their ass to get dicked down by some random black guy named Tyrone. That's what America needs. What? Again, and it's just like, and then people are like, man, I don't understand the hate that Ashley St. Clair's gets, man. I don't understand it, man. Bro, what? Are you reading this? You don't understand the hate. Are you not reading this? And then she's quoting Cernovich, who's a journalist who, albeit fair enough, helped uncover a lot of the Epstein case, but is a dude who sucked a transgender woman man's penis. That guy does not have the good head on his shoulder. Now, sure, he can repent of him and all that, but of all the people to agree with, I'm not going to go with Cernovich. I'm not going to go and tag him in as if he's like the baseline support that people are like, oh, he's backing it, I'm in with it. Pathetic, dude. It's so dumb. Bunch of liberals, dude, who are literally wearing conservatism as a skin suit. It's all fake, dude. It's all artificial. The right wing doesn't truly exist. They exist in people like me who barely exist on the internet and have no followers. They exist at least in people like Nick Fuentes. But this is what I said. Essentially a summary of what I just laid out here. Yeah, guys, fuck free speech. Let's just make this platform whatever make women feel better. If you can't handle disagreements, stay away. Don't bend its integrity for the sake of insensitivities or sensitivities. And people agree with me. I got a few likes on that. I only have like 300 followers. But that's the state, right? This is the state of your trad wife, sir. That's who these people are. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying Tim Pool is getting hate for the same reasons, but Tim's obviously it's the ingenuity or being disingenuous, I should say. This is ridiculous, dude. This is people are tired of this, dude. Even the manosphere, red pill, all that, whatever, dude. But even people who are outside of it, people who are in like the Christian sphere, the Christian right wing, are getting exceptionally tired of these people, these feminists who are LARPing as if they're conservatives, and then acting as if that they have some kind of control over what right wing men should want or should do. If we don't seriously get a hardcore push to get women out of the discourse of the right wing, I don't know how you're going to save it. And again, it's also aided by the fact that you have so many beta men who are like, dude, yeah, actually, yeah. Like they're just simps, dude. They're like, yeah, bro, I hope she sees this dog. Like, we know why you're saying that, dude. You don't actually believe in these things. You're just trying to get laid. You're just hoping she likes your post, dude. Pathetic, dude. So many men disgust me. You weak little boys, dude. Like, my God. And this is why all of us out here gotta suffer for it. It's stupid. I made that tweet a while ago, man. It's because type A white man was beat down with the assistance of type B white man. And now women and all these influencers and media pundits sit here and go, the type B white man, that's who you should be. Be the guy who gets cut. Be the guy who sits in the cut chair. It's ridiculous, dude. It's so emasculating to have this stuff all the time. I can't believe people get behind these ideas, to be straight with you. And let's see, man. Do I want to swing it over? Let's just go straight to Antarctica, though. I had a couple other ones, but I think I'm going to get copyright struck with the audio that's in those two clips. Let's go to, this broke, and I saw it from PNW Gorilla. I'll play it off of this, but it's from Stu Peters. Make sure everything's still okay online. My wife said she loves the view. Too bad the audio quality couldn't be picked up a bit more. But let's go to this here. Let's switch this over. Okay. The PNW said 0-100 going into a Monday work way, and we are so far down the rabbit hole, boys. Livable and prior tropical part of Antarctica that we aren't allowed to explore because of reasons? Chat? Thoughts? Oh, yeah, I want to see the tag. The time was up. And this is what was in this video. So we're just going to go ahead and play it. I'll put it on full screen, too.
And while this may contradict everything that you've ever learned in public schools, all of your science teachers, what they told you about Antarctica, it was caught on film. And it was released to the public. Released to the public in a 1948 documentary called The Secret Land. 1948. What an interesting year. The film was backed by the United States Navy and documented firsthand by the Byrd expedition to Antarctica. It wasn't until years later that this information was memory hold. But it still exists. And in this video clip, you can see it for yourself. You can hear the narrator describe the warm water Antarctic oasis that's full of coal and other vital minerals. Watch.
Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white is turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes, whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in.
I will say it does suck that it's such bad quality, but if this was colorized footage from the late 1940s, then it makes sense why the camera quality is the way it is. But this is just never before seen essentially, or at least it's been censored crazily until this point. And truthful, maybe. I mean, I'm more keen to believe in these things than not, to be honest. I'm somebody who does I would love to believe in something like that, especially because there is also evidence in, the firmaments mentioned in the Bible as well, in Genesis. So there are a bit of things that point to there being a reality with this, especially being somebody who's not entirely convinced of the moon landing footage. I've seen some people kind of poke some holes in that. Now, I'm not saying definite one way or the other. I'm just saying keeping my mind open to the possibility of otherwise.
To make a landing, water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh. The temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
So that actually happened, and the United States government admitted it. So now the question is, what else did they find? There's been reports that in this secret diary kept by Admiral Richard Byrd, he described a lush green region of Antarctica. He called it the other side of Antarctica. He said that it was beyond a massive ice wall. There's been claims which have been reported by mainstream outlets like the History Channel that Byrd said that he encountered some type of advanced civilization during his time at our so-called South Pole. But what we do know...
And what he's about to show, which I bet there's people who have probably seen this already, which is a small clip portion that was on a TikTok that went viral for a bit. They had this interview from Admiral Byrd. Well, cool enough, I found an 11-minute, like, unedited version I'm going to watch right after this.
For sure is that the years after Operation High Jump, Admiral Byrd went on live TV and described a massive untouched region on the other side of Antarctica and its ice wall. He said that it's at least the size of the United States and that it's full of the world's most sought-after minerals. Take a look.
Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral,
We've found enough of coal within 180 miles of the South Pole in a great ridge of mountains. It's not covered with snow, enough to supply the whole world for quite a while.
Well,
that's the coal. Now, there's evidence of many other minerals. We're pretty sure there's oil. Now, that coal shows the bottom of the world. Now, by far, the coldest spot in the world. Where that coal is gets 100 below zero in the winter.
well,
It was once tropical. So we think there's oil there, and there's evidence, probably uranium there.
isn't it?
You know, it's pretty obvious.
And if there's uranium there, there's huge uranium deposits. I mean, man, dude, who wouldn't want to be sitting on the richest uranium deposit in the world if that's what it was?
There are many things that we just don't know, that we aren't allowed to know about Antarctica. And it's worth noting that even if you wanted to start looking into it and you had the financial capability and the resources to start looking into it, you could only do so much research because you're not allowed to investigate Antarctica firsthand. No, treaties signed by countries from all over the planet bar private exploration of Antarctica and anywhere remotely close to it.
Which is very true. And it's one of the crazy things, too, which is like, you know, all these countries can agree on one thing, and that one thing that a lot of these countries can agree on is that a private citizen shouldn't be allowed to explore Antarctica. Like, okay, well, we found the one common thing that most nations can agree on between all languages. Now, there's a bit more to this, too. So I titled this, you know, Down the Rabbit Hole a bit. So I have some material to go along with this. Now, Josh Hsu is somebody who I've also been in contact with a good bit as well. Josh, who's seeking the truth, posts a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of stuff on Rumble, so I do encourage you to go follow him, especially if you're somebody who's into a lot of the behind the happenings of the cabal, the societies, a lot of the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Rothschilds, the Soroses, like the royal families of the world, all of those things like that. He's got plenty of long documentaries about it that are very, very like intelligent. That are well done as well, good compilations from other splits. So that's how I know of him. And he gets censored quite a bit. He recently remonetized again on X, but he put out a group of these, a thread. But I'm just gonna play this top one before I move on to some of these other videos. But some of this stuff's just wild, man. It's just honestly hard to believe, truly.
So here's the thing. NASA is the World Intelligence Agency. Everyone reports to them. FBI, CIA, KGB, CCP. Well, why would they lie about the shape of the Earth? What difference does it make? NASA was created right after Project High Jump when Admiral Byrd flew out in Antarctica. On the other side of the South Pole, he found land bigger than the United States, filled with resources. Look at that. From Middle America, he would be in where South Africa is or where Australia is. And another continent the size of the United States that no one has ever seen or set foot upon? What does that mean? What if he went from Middle America over what they call Antarctica and then found another continent out here?
And that would destroy our whole worldview of reality.
Now, what if there's other civilizations here? What if these are where the controllers of the world live? Okay? What if
I'm getting chills right now.
Because the reality, your soul is going, yes, listen, right? Get rid of your programmed mind. People don't realize, like, well, Russia would have ratted us out, and this and that. They're all in it together. Everything that you know is a lie. The United Nations map, flat Earth map. International Maritime Organization, flat Earth map. World Meteorological Organization, flat Earth map. International Civil Aviation Organization. These are the things that control the world. Why do they all have flat Earth maps?
Well, I don't know. Artistically, maybe they couldn't.
Artistically? Is that your explanation? Now let me ask you a question. If this is where we live, would you call this the outer space?
Sure.
What is this? More land? Extra territory? Extra terra?
Extraterrestrials.
Extraterrestrials from where?
Outer space.
Bingo. So why does it matter? Then when you understand that we're actually at the center of creation, this place was built for us, and we have natural law which says that nobody can take our free will away. Once you understand that nobody has control over you, you take your power back. You stop feeding this beast system that we're in. Globers think they know everything, but they don't know anything. And it's only for those that are willing to look and understand and see why it matters that get it, you know?
No, again, same with previous. I'm not a proponent of flat Earth theory. I'm just somebody who's going to say I'm smart enough to know that I don't know anything conclusively. And so with this, I have a group of these men. But that Earth that he was talking about, so this flat Earth map. Let's get these. I have one. I'll pull it up on screen. So this is beyond the ice wall of the world, right? So if you zoom in, this is supposed to be like the Earth, right? So you can see like America, South America, Europe, Africa, Australia's over there, and then the rest of Asia is like this mix here. And so what they're making the argument of is that actually when they go to Antarctica, right, these breaks here, is that it's an actual like the mass ice wall. When they're actually traveling out beyond the firmament, which is what they're saying is like this massive what the ice wall does. So they're saying that, or Admiral Byrd makes the claim that he went over some region, and you can see there is a land here that's pretty large, which does look, you know, not as large as the United States maybe, but I'm sure this map's not even accurate anyway, so don't take it as factual. But that's the argument they're making, right? The argument is making is that Admiral Byrd, broke through a firmament and instead saw land outside or was not mapped. It doesn't make any sense physically, at least in terms of what we know about the globe and what everything else has been told to us. There's a few more of these too. Let me see if I can get one that's a bit more better quality. Not good quality. And this one's about the same way, but it's the same thing, right? So it's actually the argument is that it's not even just that there's one firmament, that there's others as well. So see, it's like this ring. And so the argument too, as far as I understand, I'm not an expert on this by any means, is that like there's a sun and moon that exists in this ring. There's a sun and moon that exists in this ring, and then there's a sun and moon that exists in this ring. And then he's saying like, well, this is the walls of Asgard. I don't know what any of this is, you know. And again, a lot of it to me is kind of cartoonish because it's like I don't really think there's much evidence that supports it. Well, I mean, there is evidence that supports it. I'm just like, I'm not that far down the rabbit hole. But again, I'm somebody who keeps an open mind, and this stuff's pretty interesting, especially because it's like, do you trust your government? Nope, I don't. Have no reason to. And then a couple other things too was, oh, I didn't save the video. Maybe I bookmarked it. Oh, I hope I bookmarked it. I did not. Well, that sucks. I had a video that was some fishermen that got stopped by a warship because they were going out too far in a restricted maritime area. And it was just kind of chilling because it's just like four guys on a fisher boat, small fisherman boat, and out comes this massive like war galleon like just comes flying out, radioing them like you're in a restricted area, you need to get out of here immediately, so on and so forth. And one of the last things I had here was this UFO that's buried on Bristol Island. So it says here, this will be attached in an article. It says on Google Earth, an image surfaced of alleged fictitious, never to be built Nazi Reichsflag, no idea how to pronounce that, UFO. Hidden spacecraft technology buried partially beneath the ice of Bristol Island, the South Sandwich Islands, Antarctica. So firstly, I would like to click and know where this is at, right? So where is this? Interesting. Okay. So it looks like it's off the coast, not really close to Antarctica. I guess it's just labeled that loosely because it's the closest to it. But that's where it is on the map. If you see this map here, the red dot on it. But anyways, go back to what it says. In the following video clip from January 31st, 2013, you can see where the image was found, as Google Earth has since removed the image as part of their Flat Earth censorship program or campaign. Let's watch this here on YouTube. We'll full screen it. Sandwich Islands, ice thawing reveals a UFO. Now, again, I found this article loosely from all of these threads that was talking about the Antarctica off of the Stu Peters' original tweet. Turn the sound off just as I don't want to get copyrighted in the case it's going to copyright me. But it looks like, yeah, so we got Google Earth here, and they have Bristol Island. I think there's a group of them, it looks like, in the South Sandwich Islands, located in the South Georgia Islands. That's in the northwest of this region here. That's so terrifying, yeah. That's a terrifying good image, man. It almost makes me think that it's fake, dude. Like, really seriously get this good of an image on this? That's crazy to me. See, now, this seems kind of odd because it's like he's not seeing it with Google Earth. It says he can upload an image with that geotag location on it. So that already is giving me reason to think like, oh, it's kind of fake. Now, if he was trying to like zoom in, yeah, he's trying to find it. Is that where it's at? It's curious though, right? Makes you think like, where is it? Did he find it? And how would you get that good of an image too without physically traveling to that location and being like a foot away? Yeah, I don't believe in the only conspiracy you put on there is global warming. So again, like, what is this, right? Like, is this real? This is a 3D dimension of it, of like these domes here. Now, again, I'm not saying like believe in this stuff, but it's kind of a crazy concept, right? To think that because this might be a possibility. So there's multiple domes here, and so it's saying like these other planets exist outside the dome. Crazy stuff though, right? Especially because I'm somebody that's like, if I haven't seen it in person and it's like, and I haven't touched it, it's like it's harder for me to believe in it, right? You kind of have like, you got to operate in faith that these things exist, not that they're actually like true or real. And I'm just like, dang, dude, it's gonna get you like a little bit of a kind of a terrifying vibe. Like, wow, what that might be. Let's think this here. Normal. Yeah, so I'm gonna get to the end of this. I would have been done a bit longer. I'll probably do a live on X. I might not do a spaces. No, I might maybe I'll do a spaces too. Sometime this week as well, to catch up on news and open it up for people. Hopefully get some people to come in there as well. I'll try to do it in the evening around like 5 or 6. Not today, possibly tomorrow. Maybe I might do one today even. I'll check it. Maybe jump into a space even. To just talk about some of the issues that are going on today. We can talk about some of this Antarctica stuff as well, and some of the general topical news that have been going on, especially for me because I was super busy with traveling and stuff, so I only was able to prepare a shorter outline than I did this morning before I went to the gym, so I could get ready for this. But those are the big stuff I wanted to cover. The Tim Pill Humiliation tour, people getting mad at him, the reasons why. Nick's following's growing. You know, he's constantly ratioing people now. He had a recent ratio over the Bircham series with with the Daily Wire. He ratioed, I think Matt Walsh is who it was, because he said the show looks like shit and had like 8,000 likes, and then Matt didn't even break 1,000 on his initial one. So that was kind of funny. I'm glad that people are pushing back against the correctly branded like right wing stuff with the Daily Wire is doing, the Israeli Wire, I should say, the Jewish Wire. Oh, it looks like the needle's moving in the right direction. And so with that, we got got good faith in the believing moving forward. But again, like the show, if you enjoyed it, share the show. Next time you'll see this will go in an episode. It's number 22. I'll leave this as number 22. If I do streams throughout this week, they're not going to be attached to Offensively Accurate. I don't want to build up the library of a bunch of like poor audio quality episodes. So this will be the last one that's on Offensively Accurate, so it won't be on Spotify. But I'll still repost the streams onto my X as well, so they'll also be housed somewhere. It's not on YouTube in case anything happens to the ones that are on YouTube, because sometimes I get copyrighted and struck and issues like that arise. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. Again, apologies for the poor quality of audio and camera. But around next week, hopefully that will change. Should be back home that Monday. That one I might not do at 6 p.m. It might have to be at like 10 p.m. depending on what time I get back home. Wife has to do like pet sitting and things like that of that nature, and we have to leave at like 5 or 6 in the morning just to be able to return at a decent time around 8 p.m. to get things done. So we'll see what happens with that, especially because I might not be able to make a good enough outline in the time to come, or at least be representative of the topical news environment of the week or of the news period. And so things to look for, just be prepping too. I think the reality of what Civil War and the World War III, those realities, the dangers of those realities, the consequences of such, I think are very real. They're very, very present and could be happening possibly sooner than we imagine. So if I leave a parting message on this one, just make sure that you have your P's and Q's straight. Protect your family. Care about things that really matter. Praise God. Christ is King. Get back into the Word. Get into your faith. Really, really sit down and think about the things that you believe in, that you feel of, and kind of shake away from the routine of ordinary life and kind of open yourself up to the Lord on high, and get your brain on straight. That's really all about all you can do. Meditate, seek power, build, grow, compete, stay positive. And hopefully we can right this ship and save this country. And so with that, it's been offensively accurate, but hopefully it's been a little bit more accurate than offensive. I appreciate you all. Make sure you like the video, share, subscribe, follow, yada, yada, yada. You know the deal. Peace out, y'all. Take care. Appreciate it. God bless.